One proposal changed everything, not because of the ring, but because of what it asks Amy to leave behind. Heartland Season 20 isn't just another season, it feels like the moment where the story finally decides whether it's moving forward or saying goodbye. With trailer leaks, release date rumors, and a future that looks more uncertain than ever, this season may quietly become the most emotional chapter Heartland has ever told. Season 20 begins under the shadow of Nathan's proposal, and that shadow stretches further than anyone expects. Amy isn't standing at a happy crossroads, she's standing between two lives. One built from love, memory, and pain, and another built on hope, risk, and change. What makes this moment powerful is that there is no obvious right answer. Every choice costs something. Amy has spent years learning how to survive loss. Now she has to learn how to live again, and that scares her more than grief ever did. Accepting Nathan's proposal means opening her heart fully, not halfway. It means believing that happiness is still allowed. Season 20 takes its time with this struggle, letting Amy question herself in quiet moments rather than dramatic confrontations. The weight of the past never leaves her, but it no longer controls her. And that shift is everything. Nathan steps forward as more than a supportive partner. He understands that loving Amy means respecting the space Ty will always hold. He never competes with that memory, but he also refuses to disappear behind it. This balance becomes the emotional tension between them. Love is present, but so is fear. And that fear makes every conversation feel fragile. Heartland Ranch itself feels different this season. It's still home, but it's also a reminder of who Amy used to be. Staying feels safe. Leaving feels like betrayal. And Season 20 places Amy right in the middle of that emotional storm, asking a question the show has never asked so directly before. What happens when healing requires walking away? Once the decision is made, even quietly, the pressure begins. Season 20 shows that saying yes doesn't bring peace. It brings responsibility. Amy starts to feel the weight of building a future while still carrying the past. Love becomes something that needs maintenance, not just belief. And that reality hits hard. Nathan's confidence begins to crack, not because he doubts Amy's feelings, but because he fears time itself. He knows that if Amy hesitates too long, the choice may be made for them. His patience is tested, and for the first time, he begins to question whether being understanding means sacrificing his own needs. Season 20 gives him depth by allowing that doubt to exist without turning him into a villain. Lindy becomes the quiet center of this tension. Her bond with Nathan grows naturally, yet her attachment to Heartland remains strong. Amy sees herself in Lindy, a child shaped by place, memory, and loss. That realization makes every potential change feel heavier. This isn't just about love anymore. It's about shaping a child's future. The season leans into silence more than drama. Long pauses, unfinished sentences, moments where characters choose not to speak because the truth feels too big. This restraint is what gives Season 20 its emotional strength. Love exists, but it's under pressure, and pressure always reveals cracks. As the season deepens, attention slowly shifts to the rest of the Heartland family, and that's where new tension quietly grows. Katie's storyline becomes one of the most emotionally honest arcs of the season. What once felt like a playful love triangle now becomes a real emotional test. Katie is no longer reacting. She's choosing. Her connection with River is built on comfort and trust, but Dex represents unfinished feelings she can no longer ignore. Season 20 doesn't rush this conflict. It allows Katie to sit with uncertainty, forcing her to decide whether protecting peace is worth denying truth. What makes this storyline compelling is that no one is wrong. Everyone is vulnerable. Lou, meanwhile, struggles with learning how to let go. With fewer crises demanding her control, she's forced to face herself. She realizes how much of her identity has been tied to fixing problems. Season 20 challenges her to trust her family instead of managing them. Jack's journey is quieter but deeply emotional. He begins to feel time differently. Not with fear, but with awareness. Season 20 doesn't push him out. It allows him to step back naturally. His presence becomes less about action and more about guidance, reminding the audience what Heartland has always stood for. Together, these shifting relationships create a season that feels mature, reflective, and emotionally grounded. As rumors and trailer leaks circulate, the tone of season 20 becomes impossible to ignore. The pacing feels slower. The emotions feel deeper. Everything suggests intention. This doesn't feel like a setup for endless seasons. It feels like preparation. The trailer hints at longer conversations and heavier decisions. Joy exists, but it's layered with awareness. Characters seem to understand that chapters are closing, even if they don't say it out loud. This creates a sense of quiet suspense that follows every storyline. Release date speculation points toward fall, and that timing feels symbolic. A season of change. A season of letting go. The waiting itself becomes emotional as fans begin to ask the question the show refuses to answer directly. Is this the end? Season 20 doesn't rush toward finality. Instead, it lets the idea sit with the audience. It respects the emotional investment built over years. Whether or not this is the final season, it feels like the story knows what it's doing. By the final stretch of season 20, everything feels intentional. Amy's journey reaches a place of acceptance. Not perfection, not certainty, just honesty. Her choice feels earned because it came through struggle, not convenience. Love doesn't erase the past, it walks forward with it. Nathan proves that real love isn't loud, it's steady. He becomes a partner, not a replacement. Their future feels grounded, not idealized. And that realism is what makes it believable. Around them, Heartland finds balance. Katie steps into adulthood. Lou learns trust. Jack lets legacy replace control. Nothing ends in tragedy. Nothing ends easily. But everything ends with meaning. If season 20 is the final chapter, it doesn't close a door. It leaves one open. Heartland doesn't fade away. It settles into memory where the strongest stories always live. And maybe that's the most Heartland ending of all. Scenery of oppression. The crowd follows, a tide of noise and expectation, some shouting, some crying, some indifferent, all participating in a spectacle they barely understand. Jesus moves forward without protest, without anger, carrying not just wood, but the weight of humanity itself. Every stumble is met with a hand that steadies, yet never removes the burden. Every strained breath is a reminder that the cost of truth is unrelenting, that courage often comes with pain no one can comprehend. At the summit, the cross is thrown to the ground, splintering slightly with impact. Jesus is lifted, nailed, and fastened in a ritual of precision and cruelty. Each hammer strike reverberates through the hill, through the hearts of those who watch, through the soul of the world itself. Silence descends between blows, a suffocating calm that makes every sound sharper, every moment more unbearable. The disciples collapse in anguish, their faith battered by fear, helplessness, and grief. Peter covers his face, unable to watch, his soul torn between devotion and despair. John kneels, trembling, his eyes fixed on the figure of Jesus, who endures without complaint, whose quiet suffering becomes louder than any shout, whose stillness commands a reverence that cuts through the chaos of human cruelty. Around the cross, the crowd becomes a living entity, some mocking, some indifferent, some silently grieving. Each reaction is a mirror, reflecting human frailty, greed, and fear. Authority figures stand composed, their cruelty precise and unshakable, their calm making the injustice even more unbearable. The guards cast long shadows on the hill, their motions efficient, devoid of emotion, embodying the procedural heartlessness of man. And yet, in the center, Jesus remains serene, carrying the pain of both body and spirit, radiating a quiet authority that no blow can diminish. The sky darkens, as if the world itself mourns. Wind whispers through the barren landscape, carrying the sorrow of the innocent, the weight of betrayal, the